Welcome to Sender Frankie's eMTB channel, and today we're going to review the 2023 Gen 3 Turbo Levo Comp Alloy, my new personal e-bike. We'll go over the specs, pricing, components, as well as my thoughts on this bike. And the goal of this review is to provide you with some basic knowledge of this year's Turbo Levo Comp Alloy through a value standpoint, as well as ride impressions from an immediate rider. And hopefully this review will help you decide on picking up the 2023 Turbo Levo before the sale ends. And a quick disclaimer, none of my advice is professional advice. I'm just your average eMTB enthusiast. So with that said, let's quickly glance over some of the details of the Turbo Levo Comp Alloy. Without question, the Turbo Levo Comp Alloy is a fully alloy construction. It's a trail bike with 160 millimeters in the front and 150 millimeters of travel in the rear. It's a mixed wheel size that has 29-inch wheels in the front and a 27.5 in the rear, with tons of adjustabilities in the rear flip trip and this head tube angle cup that allows you to go even slacker or steeper. Here are some quick geometry based on an S3, that is what I am riding. Reach at 452 millimeters, stack at 626 millimeters, head tube angle 64.5 degrees, chainstay 442 millimeters, seat tube angle 76.7 degrees. Picked up my Turbo Levo at Royal Cyclery in downtown Upland. They were super professional and answered all the questions I had for this bike. Staff is very friendly and very approachable. You can pretty much go in there and talk about anything you guys want. Bikes, fishing. So if you're shopping for an e-bike, I highly recommend heading down to Roy Cyclery in downtown Upland. So let's go ahead and start breaking down the specs. The MSRP of the Turbo Levo Comp Alloy is originally at $7,500. But with the sale, I was able to pick this bike up at $5,624. The sale is happening throughout Specialized's website. I'm not exactly sure about what's happening in the EU, but I can say most of the bike shops around are honoring the sale. And I'll be honest, I would not have picked this up at the original MSRP of $7,500. It made the spec make sense at $5,600, which I really think is the correct spec for the price. The motor is a Bros with 9 Newton meters of torque. I believe the motor is specially tuned by Specialized, and it's a version 2.2. Still a belt drive, and I have to tell you, the motor feels very, very natural. The motor felt very natural on the first version in my wife's bike, the 2019 Turbo Levo. Every time I ride it, I felt like the motor is very attuned to the rider. It provides a nice boost when you need it, and honestly, it is pretty quiet despite the big torque. It has a 700 watt-hour battery, and man, this thing can go all day. I think this is one of the best things about this particular build. My days of battery anxiety is over with the 700 watt-hour battery. I took this out to our local trails at Vail Lake for my maiden voyage, and I was out there with turbo mode all day, every day. It definitely was one less thing to have to worry about. However, the Comp Alloy version comes with the standard Specialized TCU display, and I believe the Comp Carbon, it comes with the Mastermind. I have heard there may be a possibility in the future to be able to swap the standard TCU with the Mastermind display. Hope I'm not spreading rumors, but I am hoping that day will come. Fork is a Fox Rhythm 36 with grip dampers. At the original $7,500 MSRP, this would have been a really poor spec fork for its price. It only has a rebound on the bottom and a firm open dial on the top for compression. I did take this bike out to Vail and Snow Summit Bike Park. Although it is not my favorite fork, I was able to take the chunk, the drops, and anything that came my way. I felt there was not enough support when running through the travel of the fork. I did get my sag dialed down before I went out, so I felt like that support was not there. But like I said in my first impressions video, this bike is ready to shred out of the box. The 36 millimeter stanchions on the 36 Rhythm is strong enough and stable enough for my type of riding. The rear shock is a Fox Floatex Performance with only rebound adjustment. And my thoughts of this shock is the same as the fork. I think at $7,500, I would have wanted a Performance Elite on the Fox 36 and the Float-X. While I was riding, I had to dial down the rebound on both the fork and the shock. I'm 5'8" and about 170 pounds. Settings that made me comfortable are 3 clicks from closed on the shock and about 5 clicks from closed on the fork. The positives of the Fox 36 Rhythm and the Fox Float-X Performance is that it is fairly easy to find the right settings. There's only about 3 dials that you need to find the correct setting. It is not as complicated as the X2 or the grip dampers, which is a good thing. Brakes on these are the SRAM codes. A lot of people don't like these, but I did learn to ride them on my local range, and it definitely does have enough braking power for my style of riding. The comp alloy also has a full GX drivetrain. I've been riding GX drivetrains for quite a while now, and it's been solid and holding up fairly well. But if you look closely at the spec, the chain is an NX chain. With how much mileage we get on the e-bike, the NX chain will quickly wear out. This bike does everything pretty well. It handles the chunk well, it climbs well, it jumps well. Although there is no perfect bike, I think the Turbo Levo is pretty damn close. Well, at least for me as an intermediate rider. If you go to the bike park, you're not gonna be underbiked. If you hit your local trails, you won't be overbiked. Think that 150, 160 with the geometry of the Turbo Levo is pretty spot on. And as far as the weight on the aluminum, Specialized says it's about 1.8 pound difference between the carbon and the alloy. And to me, that is not a lot for an e-bike. Once the motor gets going or you're about to ready to hit that jump, it's hardly noticeable when you reach higher speeds. Maybe I'm not styling it like the others, but to be able to clear jumps, this bike is plenty enough. I did find the bike to be a little bit harsh and stiff with 35mm stem. I easily get arm pump and constantly need to remind myself to ease my grip. Now I think swapping it from a 35mm to a 31.8 stem should solve that issue. And I'm also looking to change both the fork and the suspension. I got some very cool ideas coming for this bike. Hopefully we can get this bike built up soon. I'm interested in what you guys have done to your Turbo Levo, or those that are planning to build your Turbo Levo. Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Overall, I am very satisfied with this bike. It's been really good in the bike park and really good at my local trails. I just need to get a couple things dialed in, and I think finding that perfect build with this bike is fairly easy. I highly recommend picking up this bike before they run out of inventory on the current model. It does seem like Specialized is ramping up for a brand new 2024 Turbo Levo, and when that time comes, the sale will end. Prices will go back up to how it was, and you'll be missing out, and you'll be calling out FOMO. Should have got picked up last year's model because it is a pretty kick-ass bike. I can't wait for this build to be completed. I am extremely excited. Hope y'all enjoyed today's review. Hit that like and subscribe. Take your support to the next level and join me on Patreon. It's only $3 a month to keep my dream alive and going full time. With that, we'll see you all in the next one. As always, stay electric. Peace.